3 tips to safeguard yourself from incoming threats. We're going to go through a little bit of an introductions about myself and about this presentation, and really what is AI. Now, this is a beginner style presentation. It's not meant to give you advanced knowledge into all depths of AI, but really help you understand where practical AI exists in the marketplace today, where it exists in security tools, and something that I call artificial inflation. Also an AI acronym where AI is being used as a marketing term, but really doesn't exist in a product itself today. We're going to talk about the changing landscape, little evolution of AI in terms of identity theft, and then how you safeguard yourself. Those 3 tips that as newcomers to AI or newcomers to the industry, what you can do best to protect yourselves and your company. And then finally, AI-driven security. For all of you, my name is Morey Haber. I'm the Chief Security Advisor at BeyondTrust. I've been with the organization for 20 years. I've held roles from VP of Engineering to CTO to CISO, and currently act as a Chief Security Advisor, basically a consultant to clients like yourselves and other industries to help them along their journey for identity, security, and privileged access management. In addition, I'm the author of 6 cybersecurity books under the Attack Vector series, Cloud, Privilege, Asset, and Identity, focusing on all of those disciplines on how to secure assets from a variety of attacks. Let's dive into it because we only have 20 minutes. First, anytime you hear about artificial intelligence, ask yourself this test question. Is it really data analytics or is it artificial intelligence? The primary difference being data analytics is an algorithm that takes input and puts out output. There is no learning, no massaging of the information, no changes to the algorithm that occur. Many solutions and a lot of technology out there might be machine learning based that falls into this category, but truly the difference being is the system has to learn and improve upon itself in order to be called AI. Something to always ask. If I give it more and more information, is my outcome going to change? If the answer is no, then you're probably only talking about data analytics and ML. When we talk about AI technology, there is a wide variety of subsets, from deep learning, machine learning, to speech processing, to expert systems, etc. AI can be used in a wide variety of ways within our industries, within our businesses, and within cybersecurity today. We're all aware of all the different types of deepfake technology out there, from voice to video, anything that you can commercially get yourself today, including the ChatGPT engines, and if you're not familiar with it, what's called adaptive general intelligence. Adaptive general intelligence is actually AI that can logically deduce things and form new outcomes, even for something that it has not been trained based on dissimilar models. Now, while theorists say AI general intelligence is still years away, maybe even decades away, there are tools that are out there, like the new versions of ChatGPT, that can take 2 different data sets and merge them together to build something new, but we can potentially suffer from something called AI hallucination. That is when the data sets themselves are incomplete and the actual output from AI produces misinformation or something completely distorted. In fact, if you interact with chatbots today on the internet, 27% of the responses from an AI-driven chatbot are actually hallucinations based on trying to give you an answer from its limited data sets. So you have to understand that even though there's this wide variety of data and all of this information, you can't always trust it, and you have to make sure that what you're using it for produces accurate information. Now, in the case of cybersecurity, we have 2 different postures. We have defense and we have attack. The defensive nature is looking through vast amounts of data in SIMs, behavioral monitoring, user identity, etc., to say, is there something anomalous going on? That supposes that the data sets we have, 1, going back to hallucination, are accurate, so we don't have false positives, and 2nd, that there is something actionable that we can do with the results. Sometimes AI engines will look at the data and produce output, but there's no human way to do threat hunting or other exercises to track down truly what caused it. That can be problematic. So you always want to get as much evidence out of a system using AI in a defensive posture so that you can prove that its answers or its results were accurate. Now, the attack standpoint is bad. Bluntly bad and dangerous. It uses a variety of techniques from deepfake technology and audio and video, all the way through the simplest thing, going to an AI engine and saying, please craft this email in a foreign language, and the threat actor now has a phishing attack perfectly spelled with perfect grammar, potentially whaling or targeting an individual or spear phishing someone within your organization. We train on AI attack vectors all the time. We teach people every single day, look for misspelling, look for grammar, look for the URLs. But when you're crafting something so well, it can be very hard for someone to identify. So we have to be very careful of those attack vectors. If you're familiar with some of the bank heists that have gone on in Asia with deepfake video and deepfake audio using trusted communications like Zoom and Teams, if you're not aware of that, I'm happy to explain it more in detail back at my booth. Those types of threats are very real and can target any organization today. So we have to train, we have to look, but know the adversaries are being very creative with AI technology today. And in that real world examples, we have AI type phishing, whether that's text messaging, whether that's voice, whether that's through social engineering, whether that's through biometric authentication, which is really kind of scary and emerging, as well as very crafted malware. If you ask yourself, how can malware be AI driven? It's because it can change its payload or morph itself on the fly using an AI engine. Or as an adversary, you can just go to something like a ChatGPT and say, please create a PowerShell script that will disable all email boxes in Microsoft Exchange. I don't have to know anything about PowerShell, but I just got a perfectly crafted payload that if I can get someone to execute, I take out their Exchange server. You don't have to be an expert. It is enabling script kiddies and others to do quite a bit of damage. Now, something like ChatGPT doesn't know it's wrong or right to create that script, but it's just as creative as the adversary to say, I'm going to do it. You can't ask those engines today commercially, write a piece of malware. They have been coded not to do that, but they can code the components to build that malware with limited expertise. And that's where the crafting of malware comes from. Now, in the real world today, we have responses, legitimate responses. MIBR has developed a framework to help us identify the different types of AI attacks, part of our tips today, and there's guidance from NIST, how to use AI within your business. You have to be concerned with things like intellectual property. You have to be concerned about disclosing information, like building a configuration file with internal information that could be used against you later. So when we talk about a cyber espionage campaign using AI, we're really just talking about that entire workflow. We want to create a phishing email, right? I've already explained how that can be done. I might be targeting an individual. I might say, you know what? I like that bank. I know someone may be out on maternity or paternity leave based on social engineering. I'm going to craft the message knowing that the forward is going to go to their boss, and I will find a nice, clean way to get into their organization. This is a very real-world scenario. It's not difficult to understand in basics, but when you receive an email that's so well crafted, and potentially I'm using my home email address because I got locked out of my business account, you take that deep breath and you go, is it really that person or not? How many of you have experienced this without raising your hand? You've seen these types of attacks before. They're getting more and more sophisticated based on AI. The second is voice spoofing and social engineering. There is a very famous attack that occurred overseas where basically an individual was compromised from their voice and their video. It was taken from YouTube. It was turned into an AI engine and then played for someone that had direct access to a wire transfer using a trusted communications path and convinced them to transfer in a large sum of money. What happened here was basically, if I can take your likeness from a common social media video or content, drive it into an AI engine and accurately spoof you, I can impersonate you. But even better, if I can compromise your trusted communication system like Teams, RingCentral, Zoom, and play that video in real time with a threat actor behind it, someone that does not have normal communications with you might fall for it. And if you've done your homework, like in the case that I'm referencing, and you had backup people like the COO and the CFO also cloned due to similar techniques, multi-millions of dollars can be transferred. This can occur at the highest level for financial. It can occur at the lowest level in terms of technical support. Someone claiming to be a client reaching into your organization going, I need help. We have seen attacks like this before. If you are not familiar with any social engineering attacks using AI technology of this nature, literally look on YouTube about how someone compromised a help desk with a crying baby in the background. The woman is an AI-generated voice. The baby is artificially created. She's in a panic attack. Her boss needs something, and the help desk grants her access, even though everything was deceptive. Sympathy, empathy from the help desk person granted the threat actor access. This type of technique, in my opinion, is one of the worst scenarios that we're all going to be experiencing in the next couple of years, and we all need to be on the lookout. The next is using AI for biometric authentication. This is growing and fading at the same time. If you've ever had that question on a phone call that says answer yes, they are trying to capture your voice for playback later to use as a part of an attack. If a large language model can impersonate your voice, if your banking system still uses voice recognition to impersonate you, they can use your voice to authorize transactions or do similar. Many organizations have gotten away from biometric voice authentication because these attacks are substantially real and easy to conduct. So you want to think about what can really be done with your technology or what you're hosting that might be voice dependent. Because voice recognition today is not dependable enough with the large language models available and what can be captured. The bottom bullet just gives you an idea of how much money has been stolen using these techniques. These are things we need to prepare for. Personally, I like techniques like passcodes. I like techniques like passkeys. I like even passcodes for my own family. If I'm out of town and they think that they've received my voice, and yes, this has happened to me, then my voice on a phone call going, I'm out of town and I'm stuck, I use a password with my own family to verify versus someone trying to clone me. You think it's crazy if you have an elderly mother, if someone they heard your voice going, I'm stuck in a foreign country, give me money, that's the type of attack we're talking about. Then we have the generated crafted malware attacks. I've already gone through the ref samples before with how to create malware using generative AI, but the list on the screen just gives you some recent examples of real ones that have occurred. We've seen Forest Blizzard from Russia, Emerald Street from North Korea, and the Crimson Sandstorm from Iran, as well as Rihad that recently attacked the city of Seattle, the port, and the airport and the seaport using ransomware and AI techniques to get into the organization. This is just the start. It allows almost anybody to craft malware or use ransomware as a service or paid attacking services in foreign countries that don't have laws against it, against us. Now, even though the United Nations last month passed a groundbreaking law holding all countries accountable for cyber attacks in terms of nation-state attacks, that they will cooperate to try to bring those organizations to justice, 6 countries did not ratify that. I think you can guess which 6 are. Those are ones that are still not going to be accountable to nation-state attacks, especially when they're AI-driven. Now we also have MIBR and MIBR Atlas. MIBR is working in the reverse, the defense. They are helping build these models for us to understand in detail how to classify the different types of attacks, how to look for large language modeling reconnaissance, and the techniques that are being used to develop scripting in real time. If you're familiar with the MIBR framework, it's quite established, quite large. Every technique, every usage, MIBR is helping us in a defensive posture, a security posture, understand what we can do. But we have to be aware that this is evolving quite quickly. Attackers are ahead of where we are. Large language models in terms of deepfakes are ahead of us, and we are seeing those phishings at scale. So when we think about can JI augment existing phishing techniques? We can, but we can also use it in reverse. This is the attack itself. Think about how you train your individuals. When I was the CISO, and still a process today, we target people within 30 days of employment for phishing attacks and phishing simulation. Because you know what? They don't believe within the first 30 days that someone knows who they are. This is being scraped from LinkedIn. Their business change, their organizational change has been documented through social media, LinkedIn, and they are ripe for an attack. I will tell you, at least in my own organization, Over 90% of people fail within that 30 days because attack vectors like this succeed when someone says, I'm new here, I never thought that could happen to me. Think about how bad it can be. Now, as AI continues to evolve, we have a lot of complex risks, a lot of complex problems. This is only going to get worse, and this is not meant to be a fear-type tactic, but we are seeing that evolution of where it can be used in places we have never expected, and you have to have your organization committed to using AI in a safe and practical way. If you do not have an internal AI policy, an acceptable usage, public disclosure, what can be used for documentation, what's driving your chatbots, seriously consider what that policy should be. And its impact on the supply chain is it's evident. I mean, simple enough. We have attacks on assets and identities from AI that are basically compromising exploits, vulnerabilities, etc., or helping use identity-based attacks from information on the dark web to basically work through the Lockheed Martin attack chain model. And the truth of the matter is, we are the weakest links. We are humans. We are gullible. We are ignorant. We may be careless. We may be in an opportunistic state where we click on something, look at something, or be emotionally compromised where we fall victim. The truth is, AI technologies today as attack vectors succeed because we are human. So the question becomes how can AI be used in social engineering attacks?
Let's seriously consider how artificial intelligence can be used in social engineering attacks. As you can see, I'm not talking about my voice sounds the same. And this segment is actually using deep fake audio technology and samples of my voice. Imagine what can be done with commercial software like this, or be implemented by threat actors to build trust, spoof family members, executives, and even politicians. Would you fall for such an attack?
Would you fall for that attack? That's AI of me. That is my marketing team using a commercially available free AI engine for my voice. So they can use me for podcasts, promotional materials, etc. If any of you are from the United States, Al Roker is a famous weatherman. He is now doing AI weather for different locations using an AI-generated voice of himself. And he's going to make money out of it. So we have our key tips. If that sounded like me, well, I'm a little rushed today doing a 20-minute presentation that's normally an hour long. But I'll tell you what, when I played that audio for my family, they thought it was me. And that is free software on the internet today. Our tips: focus on identities. Harden your identities. Make sure you know who's supposed to have access to what, and especially no one person should ever have the power alone without change control to do large transfers of money like in the examples I gave earlier. Should always be checks and balances to anything critical, systems, configurations, requiring change control tickets or other authorizations. Just because two executives say send money, there should be other controls. Be proactive. The documentation I referred to earlier in terms of policies and procedures. If your organization does not have an AI policy today, really consider developing one. Gartner and others have great guidelines. Don't ever put sensitive information in. Don't ever put personal information in. This should all be a part of your employee handbooks today. And blend prevention and detection. Not all AI is equal. Many of it is data analytics in terms of security solutions. Look to your vendors. Ask them, are you doing AI? Prove to me it's truly AI. I know it's a hard question to ask, but you really need to see if what they're delivering is marketing or a real product. And AI-driven security really revolves around anomaly detection, predictive analytics, and good recommendations that are actionable by you. Not just a ton of garbage out where no one can threat hunt it or do any other work. From a Beyond Trust standpoint, we make a product called Identity Security Insights. It has core capabilities to do AI analysis. If you're familiar with the Okta support breach from last October, that AI engine is what identified it in terms of Beyond Trust. It is what allowed us to notify Okta that they did have a security incident. It is AI powered. It does have quite a bit of intelligence in terms of determining if someone is human or not, and can identify the privileged high-risk accounts to protect your paths to privilege. Finally, Gartner recognizes us for the 2024 Customer Choice Award as a leader for the 6 years in a row with a platform that covers a wide variety of privileged access solutions, identity management solutions, and identity security. I want to thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all.